What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about current news and events in Norway. Because honestly, here in the United States, we never get to see any news about Norway. So I like to take some time every week or so to learn about what's happening in Norway. What is the current news and events in Norway that us Americans don't get to hear about? I think it's very, very fascinating. And I know Norway had an election very recently, right? So that's a big one that we're going to look at today as well. But we're going to start with Sami activist sets up camp outside Norway Parliament to protest wind turbines. Wow. I'm a little familiar with the Sami people in Norway. It's like the native Norwegians, the indigenous Norwegians, the Sami. Wow, so they were doing kind of a protest outside of Norway Parliament. Wow, during sort of the election time as well, right? Oh, here's a photo actually. Oh, wow, they had a tent set up and a lot of fur as well. Wow. Indigenous Sami activists set up a lavvo, a Sami tent, outside Norwegian Parliament. So they are protesting wind turbines being built on their land. Well, I guess it depends on what the agreement is between the Sami people and the Norwegian government, or if this is in fact their land. Is this a bad thing? Is this like encroaching on their property? An indigenous Sami activist set up a camp outside Norwegian Parliament on Monday to protest wind turbines built on land traditionally used by Sami reindeer herders, saying that he will stay there as long as the turbines remain in place. Wow. Man, I'm trying to figure out what's the legal case here. Are they legally allowed to build a big wind turbine right on their land? Or is that not technically their land? I know there's like a lot of history and tension maybe between Norwegian government and the Sami people, and I know there's history there that I've sort of learned about. Norway's Supreme Court in 2021 ordered that 2 wind farms would be built at Forsen in central Norway, part of Europe's largest onshore wind farm. It violated Sami rights under international conventions, but the turbines remain in operation today. Oh, the turbines are already built, and the Sami people don't like it. Wait. It violated Sami rights under international conventions. Does that mean it shouldn't be there? That sounds like it shouldn't be there. It's a case of one of many conflicts Norway has yet to resolve, with climate change and technology enabling mineral extraction, energy production, and tourism, while threatening traditional ways of life. Wow. Yeah, it's nice that it's kind of green and generating electricity and fighting climate change and all that, but building this kind of thing right on Sami's traditional property seems like, is that completely necessary? Is there nowhere else they could build it? I don't know if I understand everything. The government that has said that the Supreme Court, while ruling that the licenses of the 2 farms were illegal, wait, the Norwegian Supreme Court said that the 2 wind farms were illegal. Shouldn't that be enough to have them taken down? Did not give instructions on what to do next, and that the conflict should be resolved through talks. I mean, based on what I'm reading here, I don't blame the Sami for doing this protest. Like, this wind farm was built without their permission and against the law. It sounds like it was against the law to build the wind turbine. So I don't know why that happened to begin with. And now they've just had to kind of put up with it, and they're tired of it. Wow, that's interesting. That's a really interesting article. Okay. Next, we have Norway's Labour loses regional vote after a century on top. What this is about the election. This is big. Norway's governing Labour Party fell to second place behind the Conservatives in Monday's regional and municipal election. Wow, the first time since 1924. Wow, this is huge. This is huge. I was reading about this the other week, last week, that it looked like polls were starting to show that the Conservative Party was growing, or gonna win, possibly gonna win. What does this mean? How big a deal is this? Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Støre receives election day forecasts. Forecasts that his party is probably gonna lose, right? Wow. Yeah. Norway's governing Labour Party fell to second place behind the Conservatives in Monday's regional and municipal election. A preliminary count showed the first time since 1924 that the left-wing group failed to finish first in a nationwide vote. Wow, how big a deal is this? Does this mean that the Prime Minister could change? I know that the Norwegian Prime Minister is selected based on what the majority party is, I believe. I believe that's correct. Let me try to look this up. Yeah, here we go. Municipal election results. Nationwide results. The results listed are preliminary results with 100% of the votes counted. So all the votes have been counted in Norway. This was nationwide. Conservative Party is on top with 25.89% of the vote. More than the Labour Party. The Labour Party only had 21.66% of the vote. The Conservative Party won the majority of the votes. But what does that mean exactly? What happens? So there's seats here. So seats. Oh, they gained 229 seats in the Conservative Party. Wow. Wow, and the Labour Party lost 560 seats. But the Labour Party still has more seats than the Conservative Party. Does that mean the Labour Party is still the majority party? So it's just going to remain the same prime minister, right? Jonas Gahr Støre, he is going to remain the prime minister because they still have the biggest party, according to this. 2023 versus 1,717 seats. So it was a big change. A big change. The Labour Party lost a lot of seats. But they have so many that they're still the majority party, I think. Labour had won 21.8% of the votes, down from 24%. The Conservative Party stood at 25% of the votes, up from 20% only 4 years ago. Wow, while this setback deepens the Labour Party's woes, Prime Minister Jonas Støre has said he will continue to lead his minority coalition government regardless of the regional vote's outcome, which does not affect the composition of parliament. That's what I was wondering about. This does not affect the composition of parliament. He is still the prime minister, it looks like. I'm not very familiar with Norwegian politics, so I don't understand everything. Soaring consumer prices, including a 9% rise in the cost of food. Wow, Norway has experienced a 9% rise in the cost of food. That's crazy. Accompanied by a jump in interest rates, have weighed on households and led the government to restrain public spending in fear of rising inflation. Sounds like Norway is having a lot of problems that America is having with inflation and rising cost of goods. So this is why the vote turned out this way. Are Norwegians unhappy with the current majority party, the current parliament? Are Norwegians unhappy with the current prime minister? It seems like a lot of Norwegians voted differently for the Conservative Party. So things are really getting shaken up in Norway in politics. Wow. Okay. What is this? 30 years after Oslo, bleak outlook for Israel-Palestinian peace. What is this? I don't know anything about this, honestly. Hold on. Let me see if this can explain it to me. Across the occupied West Bank, concrete checkpoints, separation walls, and soldiers are reminders of the failure to build peace between Israelis and Palestinians since the historic Oslo Accords were signed 30 years ago. Oh, I didn't know Norway or Oslo had anything to do with Israel and Palestine or anything to do with that. Honestly, I don't know anything about that stuff, so I don't know if I'm going to understand anything here. Just seems like it says the conflict has no end in sight, basically. Wow, interesting. I wish I understood that better. Norway should call off deep sea mining plans, key ally says. Is Norway doing deep sea mining? And one of Norway's allies says, stop. Why? Why are they saying stop? Norway's minority government should withdraw its proposal to open a vast Arctic offshore area to deep sea mining and call at least a 10-year moratorium on the activity. Oh, so this is something they're proposing. Norway's government is proposing doing some deep sea mining. Mining for what exactly? What is this? Norway's minority government should withdraw its proposal to open a vast offshore area for deep sea mining. Norway could become the first nation to make deep sea mining happen on a commercial scale if Norway's parliament approves a plan to open ocean an area larger than the United Kingdom. Norway is going to use an area larger than the United Kingdom for deep sea mining? I don't understand deep sea mining too well, but this sounds like kind of an interesting. I thought this would be a good thing, like if Norway is trying to gain more natural resources or something, or I'm just not exactly sure what Norway is trying to mine. Is it oil? Or the mining could provide a source for metals like copper and rare earth metals to transition from fossil fuels. Okay, I mean, that sounds kind of good, right? The plan is that this will help Norway get more renewable materials that can be used for renewable energy. So that's good. The Labour-led Norwegian government, relies on a smaller left-wing party for support to pass its budget and other key policies in Parliament. Oh, is that how the Labour Party stays as in control? Is because they have partnerships with other parties? I think that has something to do with it. I'm not sure. We will not vote for the proposal that the government has put forward. We think that it should be sent back to the government. Oh, so one of the parties in Norway's parliament does not like this proposal. Why? We would like to have a moratorium for 10 years so we can find out more about the environmental consequences before we start digging into the seabed. Oh, that's probably a good reason. I don't understand every detail, but that sounds reasonable. If they don't understand what this could do to the nature, to the natural area, like just starting all this really invasive mining, it might be better to stop and try to figure out what kind of repercussions this could have. But at the same time, I understand why they think they should just do it now and start trying to harvest these metals and renewable resources, because that could help. That could help with Norway's movement towards renewable energy as well. Wow, that's a tough one, honestly. Huh. Oh, why does Norway want to mine the seabed? Oh, this is exactly what we were just hearing about. This is exactly what I was wondering. Norway may start commercial deep sea mining. Why do they want to? That could help Europe reduce its dependence on China for the supply of critical materials to build electric vehicle batteries, wind turbines, and solar panels. Oh, well, this could really help Europe as well. So Europe is really encouraging Norway to do this as well. The Labour-led minority government proposed 280,000 square kilometers of ocean. Wow. Wow, all the way to Svalbard. Okay. So they're just worried that this is going to have an effect on, like, nature, like under the water, going down there and deep sea mining. But it sounds like Europe really wants this to happen, to reduce its dependence on China. Okay. There's kind of two sides to this story. There's two sides to every story, it seems like, isn't there? Wow. Okay. That's all the new articles for this week. I'm going to take one last look at the election results, because I feel like this is a really, really, really big story. Or I might Google about this. Norway election? Let's see here. Let's see if there's anything on Google about the Norwegian elections, because that's a huge story, obviously. Norway's conservative opposition wins local elections with nearly 26% of the votes. Norway's Labour loses regional vote after a century on top. Wow. Wow. I didn't realize this is the first time in 99 years that the right-wing Conservative Party has won an election in Norway. I had no idea about any of that. People must really be kind of changing their priorities in Norway. This is a huge change. Wow. Non-socialists sweep Norway's local elections. What to expect from Norway's local elections on Monday. Well, I think everyone expected it to go this way. At least just from the things I was reading. It seemed like people were expecting this. Wow, Norway's Labour. Yeah. Well, it seems like I don't understand everything about this stuff, but it's really cool to learn about. And it seems like the Prime Minister and the party that is in control of Norway is going to remain there. The Parliament is not going to change. But a lot of seats have changed. So that's a big change. A lot of representatives in Norway, all around Norway, are changing. Like 500 of them. Or there's like 200... What was it? 200 more conservatives, and it took away 560 seats from the Labour Party. Oh, wow. And the Progress Party gained 247, and the Centre Party lost 991? Oh, my God. Wow. That's so cool how there's so many parties in Norway. There's so many political parties in Norway. That's actually really, really, really nice to see. In America, it's crazy. We only have two parties, basically. We essentially have two parties. Two! One wins. There's not much in between. Like, yeah. Getting to learn about Norway and this election and the politics is actually very refreshing. Very, very refreshing. No matter what your personal opinion is on the results, it's just really fun to learn about this in contrast to the terrible American politics. My goodness. So I enjoyed learning about this and learning about all the really interesting news and events this week in Norway. There's a lot of stuff. Wow. I love hearing about it. So anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and Norwegian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.